My name is Kelly Hauser, 34 years old. If someone had asked me a year ago what the happiest moment of my life would be, I would have pointed to the engagement ring on my finger without hesitation. I believed I had found the man I would grow old with. Looking back now, I realize I wasn't walking toward a beautiful future. I was walking straight into the biggest deception of my life. Everything ended because of one live stream. Not because someone secretly warned me, not because I caught him red-handed, not because of a private confession. A live stream where my own fiancé proudly humiliated me in front of his friends, completely convinced I would never see it. 6 months have passed, and I still remember every second as though it happened yesterday. I own a motorcycle restoration and custom fabrication shop outside downtown Austin. I built it from nothing over the past decade. My father spent his life running an auto repair garage before retiring, while my mother handled every invoice, payroll sheet, and tax record. They taught me that real success wasn't measured by appearances, but by discipline, honesty, and hard work. Dad always had one saying: in business and in love, always know exactly what you're investing in. At 34, my shop generated around $140,000 a year. We specialized in restoring vintage American motorcycles and building high-end custom bikes. Collectors often waited 6 months for us to begin a project because they trusted our craftsmanship. Every machine that left my garage represented countless hours of patience, precision, and pride. Then there was my fiancé, Logan Mitchell, 27 years old. We met 3 years earlier through mutual friends during a motorcycle charity rally in downtown Austin. He wasn't the kind of man I usually dated. Most of my previous relationships had been with people who were passionate about their own careers. Logan was different. Charming, funny, attractive. He knew exactly how to make someone feel like the center of his universe. Unfortunately, he also loved being the center of everyone else's. His father, Richard Mitchell, was a retired Marine colonel who later built a respected security consulting company. Richard and I got along surprisingly well. He admired my work ethic and frequently stopped by the shop just to look at restoration projects or discuss business over coffee. I once overheard him telling someone, "Kelly built something real with her own hands. That's rare these days." His mother, Linda Mitchell, never shared that opinion. Elegant, wealthy, and obsessed with status, she constantly found subtle ways to remind me that Logan's ex-girlfriend, Vanessa, had come from what she considered a better circle. Vanessa always understood luxury, she'd casually remark over dinner, or, "It's a shame things didn't work out between them." She never openly insulted me. She didn't have to. Logan worked part-time at a trendy boutique downtown, earning roughly $38,000 a year. But his real obsession was becoming a social media influencer. Every meal became a photo shoot. Every vacation became content. Every conversation somehow turned into follower counts and engagement statistics. Meanwhile, I spent 12-hour days rebuilding engines and meeting customer deadlines. Still, I convinced myself we balanced each other. Whenever doubts surfaced, I'd push them aside. Love required compromise. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. Looking back, the warning signs were impossible to ignore. Last year, my business won a regional small business award. Logan promised he'd be there. An hour before the ceremony, he texted, "Sorry, babe, an influencer invited me to a networking event. This could help my brand." He never even asked if I'd won. Another weekend, after spending over 60 exhausting hours restoring a rare 1969 Triumph, I proudly invited him into my workshop. "So?" I asked with a smile. "What do you think?" He looked at the motorcycle for maybe 3 seconds. "They all kind of look the same." I laughed then. Later that night, I realized those words hurt more than I wanted to admit. During house hunting, I found the perfect property: 3-car garage, dedicated workshop, room to expand my business. Logan barely looked at the house. Instead, he smiled excitedly. Oh my God. Imagine converting this garage into a filming studio and walk-in closet. I blinked. What about my workshop? You could rent one somewhere else. He said it so casually, like the business I'd spent 10 years building was nothing more than an inconvenience. Even then, I ignored it. 10 months before everything collapsed, I proposed. The proposal cost nearly $4,000. The custom engagement ring cost another $9,000. I planned every detail myself because I wanted it to be perfect. When Logan said yes, he cried. 30 seconds later, he uploaded the proposal to Instagram before we'd even finished hugging. Our wedding was scheduled for September. 175 guests. More than $22,000 already paid in deposits. I had covered almost every expense myself. Whenever I mentioned the budget, Logan would laugh. My contribution is looking handsome. I laughed too. Now I know I was laughing at my own future. Last Friday was supposed to be ordinary. Logan went out for a boys' night while I stayed home reviewing blueprints for a custom Indian chief restoration. A Spurs game played quietly on television as background noise while I worked. Then my phone buzzed. His best friend Mason had started an Instagram live stream. The title immediately caught my attention. Groom Squad Confessions. Curious, I tapped it. I expected harmless jokes about wedding planning. Instead, I watched my entire future unravel in real time. There was Logan, sitting front and center with Mason, Tyler, Chris, Owen, and my cousin's husband, Eric, a man I had always considered my friend. Mason leaned toward Logan with a grin. So, tell us the truth. How's married life going to be? Logan smirked. Oh, Kelly's completely predictable. The group laughed. She thinks this wedding is about love, he continued. Meanwhile, I've already got plans for that ridiculous motorcycle workshop. What plans? Mason asked. Logan raised his glass. The first thing I'm doing after the honeymoon is turning it into my content studio. More laughter. If she wants to keep playing with motorcycles, she can rent some warehouse somewhere. My heart skipped. That workshop wasn't just a garage. I'd built every shelf myself, installed every electrical outlet, designed every storage system. It was the place where I had built my career from the ground up. Then Chris asked, So, are you actually in love with her? Logan shrugged. Love's nice. But financial security is better. The room exploded with laughter. Someone joked that I'd be paying for his dream lifestyle. Logan didn't deny it. He smiled. Exactly. Then Mason leaned forward. What about Vanessa? Logan laughed. Oh. Kelly still has absolutely no clue. The room went silent. I stopped breathing. Logan leaned back in his chair, swirling the drink in his hand. Oh. Kelly still has absolutely no clue. The room exploded with whistles. Mason nearly fell off his stool laughing. No way! You're serious? Logan grinned with the confidence of someone who believed he could never get caught. 2 weeks ago, while she was at that motorcycle parts convention in Dallas, I met up with Vanessa. Chris's eyes widened. You hooked up with your ex? Logan shrugged as if he were discussing the weather. Maybe. More laughter. And maybe it wasn't the first time since Kelly and I got together. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Mason slapped the table so hard the glasses rattled. Damn, and she still wants to marry you? Logan lifted his beer. She's too busy running that shop to notice anything. The men laughed again. Eric didn't. He stared into his drink, suddenly unable to look at the camera. Chris leaned forward. So, why marry Kelly at all? Logan answered without the slightest hesitation. Because she's safe. She owns a successful business. She makes great money. She's responsible. She'll finance the lifestyle I actually want. Another round of laughter filled the room. Mason smirked. So basically, you found yourself a walking bank account. Logan pointed his bottle toward the camera. Exactly. I don't have to worry about money ever again. When we buy a house, she'll pay most of it. My influencer career just needs time. Kelly can handle the boring financial stuff. Every sentence felt like another brick crushing my chest. 3 years together, 10 months engaged, thousands of memories, reduced to a financial strategy. Chris laughed. And she'll never figure it out? Logan shook his head confidently. She's the most trusting woman I've ever met. If I tell her I'm staying late editing videos, she believes me. If I say I'm meeting sponsors, she believes me. If I disappear for a night, I always have an excuse. The group burst into laughter again. Then Mason lowered his voice. So, is Vanessa better? Logan smiled. So much better. The chemistry never disappeared. Honestly, the sex is incredible. Someone whistled, another clapped. Eric finally spoke, his voice barely audible. Maybe you shouldn't be saying this online. Logan waved him off. Relax. Kelly doesn't even watch Instagram lives. She's probably rebuilding some old motorcycle. The room erupted once more. That was the moment something inside me quietly died. Not my love, not my trust, my hope. Every uncomfortable memory suddenly rearranged itself into one horrifying picture. The canceled award ceremony, the endless comments about my business, his excitement over spending my income, his complete lack of interest in anything I loved. None of it had been accidental. He had never respected me. He respected what I could provide. Surprisingly, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I felt strangely calm, like someone had finally turned on the lights inside a room that had been dark for years. Without thinking, I opened the comments section, using my real account. I typed, "Good to know how you really feel." The comments were scrolling so quickly that nobody noticed immediately. Then Mason's eyes suddenly froze. He leaned toward the screen. Logan. Logan frowned. What? Mason swallowed. I think Kelly's watching. Logan laughed. Nice joke. Mason wasn't laughing anymore. He pointed directly at the phone. Logan leaned closer. His smile disappeared. Color drained from his face. I typed one more message. Since everyone already knows the truth, the wedding is canceled. We're done. Find someone else to finance your influencer dreams. Maybe Vanessa can help. Nobody spoke. The silence lasted only 2 seconds. Then absolute chaos erupted. What the hell? Turn it off! End the live! Logan grabbed for the phone. The camera shook violently. Mason accidentally pointed it toward the ceiling. Someone cursed. Someone knocked over a bottle. Just before the live stream ended, I saw Logan staring into the camera. For the first time in our relationship, he looked genuinely terrified. The screen went black. Within seconds, my phone exploded. Logan called. Declined. He called again. Declined. Text after text flooded my screen. Baby, please answer. It isn't what you think. They pushed me into saying that. Please don't do this, Mason texted. Chris texted. Even people whose numbers I didn't recognize began calling. I switched my phone to airplane mode. Then I quietly removed my engagement ring. For several seconds, I simply stared at it. $9,000. Months of planning. Dreams that no longer existed. I locked it inside my safe. Then I grabbed a notebook. Instead of breaking down, I made a list. Call my attorney. Secure financial accounts. Cancel shared access. change every password, protect the business, protect my home, protect myself. Dad always said panic creates expensive mistakes. Planning creates options. Nearly 40 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I already knew who it was. Standing outside were Logan and his mother, Linda. Logan's eyes were swollen. Mascara from a promotional photo shoot still clung faintly around his face after what looked like frantic attempts to wipe away tears. Linda stood beside him with folded arms and the unmistakable expression of someone arriving to win an argument rather than solve a problem. "Kelly," Logan pleaded the moment I opened the door. "Please. It was just stupid guy talk." "Kelly," Logan pleaded the moment I opened the door. "Please. It was just stupid guy talk." His voice cracked as he reached for my hand. I stepped back before he could touch me. Linda immediately moved forward, adjusting the expensive blazer she always wore whenever she wanted to intimidate someone. "Kelly," she said firmly, "you've embarrassed my son over something completely meaningless." I looked at her in disbelief. Meaningless? He publicly called me a walking bank account. He admitted to cheating on me. He announced plans to destroy my workshop. Linda rolled her eyes. Men exaggerate when they're together. You can't throw away a wedding over one conversation. I folded my arms. Was cheating an exaggeration too? Logan rubbed both hands through his hair. I never slept with Vanessa. I just said it. You know how guys compete. I wanted them to think I was interesting. I stared at him for several seconds. So, you invented an affair to impress your friends? His mouth opened. Nothing came out. I nodded slowly. That's exactly what I thought. He took another step toward me. Kelly, I love you. I laughed, not because anything was funny, because hearing those words after everything I'd just witnessed sounded almost absurd. No. You love what I provide. You love my income, my business, my stability. You don't love me. Linda's voice became sharper. You two have invested too much to throw everything away. The venue, the guests, the deposits. What are people supposed to think? I looked directly into her eyes. I honestly don't care. She pointed a finger at me. You will fix this. My son will not become a public embarrassment. I shook my head. He already did that himself. Logan suddenly dropped to his knees. Kelly, I'm begging you. I'll delete everything. I'll quit social media. I'll block Vanessa. I'll do anything. The words sounded rehearsed, not heartfelt. He wasn't mourning our relationship. He was mourning everything he was about to lose. My workshop, I said quietly. You called it ridiculous. I spent 10 years building it. You wanted to erase it within weeks of marrying me. I was joking, he whispered. No, you weren't. You simply didn't know I was listening. Silence settled between us. Then Linda spoke again. My husband is coming. He'll make you understand. I almost smiled. I'd actually like to hear what Richard thinks after watching his son brag about cheating. Neither of them answered. Finally, I pointed toward the driveway. You both need to leave. Neither moved. I calmly picked up my phone. I'm calling the police. That finally got their attention. Linda grabbed Logan's arm. This isn't over. No, I replied. It isn't. They drove away. I locked the front door. Then I immediately began taking screenshots of every missed call and every text message. Evidence. From this moment forward, everything would be documented. 20 minutes later, my best friend Rachel arrived carrying an overnight bag. She hugged me without saying a word. Finally, she asked, "What happened?" I handed her my phone. She watched the recording from beginning to end. When it finished, she slowly set the phone down. Oh my God. I knew he loved attention. I never imagined he was this cruel. I packed my passport, financial records, property deeds, business documents, and several hard drives containing customer information. Rachel helped me carry everything into her SUV. "I don't think you should stay here tonight," she said. "I don't either." Before leaving, I made 2 phone calls. The first was to my attorney, Sarah Mitchell. The second was to a locksmith. By 8 o'clock the following morning, every lock on my house would be replaced. No exceptions. As Rachel backed out of my driveway, another truck pulled in. Richard Mitchell climbed out alone. His expression looked older than I had ever seen. He quietly walked toward me. "Kelly, you have a minute?" Rachel waited inside the vehicle while Richard and I stood beneath the porch light. For several moments, he simply looked at the ground. Finally, he spoke. I watched the recording. I nodded. "So did your wife." He gave a bitter laugh. "She expected me to defend Logan. I can't." I remained silent. Richard sighed deeply. "I've respected you from the day we met. You built your business from nothing. You've always treated my son better than he deserved." His jaw tightened. "I failed somewhere as a father." I shook my head. "No. You taught him better." Richard closed his eyes for a second. "Maybe. But I let his mother excuse too much for too long." He reached into his jacket pocket and handed me a small envelope. Inside was the spare house key I'd given Logan months earlier. "I found this in his truck. I figured it belongs to you." "Thank you." He looked directly at me. "I'm not here to convince you to forgive him. I'm here to apologize. What he did is inexcusable." For the first time that entire night, I felt emotion rising inside me. Not because of Logan, because his father possessed the integrity his son never had. Richard placed one hand gently on my shoulder. "Do what you need to do. I won't stand in your way." He walked back toward his truck before stopping one final time. "For what it's worth, you deserved a much better man than my son." I watched him drive away into the darkness. Rachel quietly squeezed my shoulder. "You okay?" I looked down at the engagement ring locked inside my bag. For months I had believed losing Logan would destroy me. Now, I realized something far more important. I hadn't lost my future. I had escaped the worst mistake of my life.